origins of Death Row, starting with David Kenner, Michael Harris, and Suge Knight, didn't seem out of the ordinary until all the information started unfolding. Because David Kenner, nobody knew who he was.
David Kenner became the principal business attorney for the label, as well as the criminal attorney for many people at the label.
Los Angeles police announced that 21-year-old Calvin Broadus, better known as rap star Snoop Doggy Dogg, had turned himself into police on Friday, along with two other young black men, all accompanied by an attorney, in connection with the murder on August 25th of a man named Philip Waldemariam, in what police believe was a gang-related shooting.
It never should have gone to trial. The alleged victim in this case had a gun, was reaching to his waistband to pull that gun out at the time Snoop's bodyguard fired a shot. And that's what we said from the beginning. The testimony makes it clear. This is a case of self-defense.
The DA, he was a pain in the ass. He just tried to do everything in the world to make me seem like the most negative, gang-banging, criminal-minded motherfucker he could just imagine, and tried to paint a picture of me that just wasn't happening. It was crazy knowing that that's what his job was to do, was to get me locked up for life. You know what I'm saying? I just want to say, fuck you, bitch.
Dave Kenner was the guy who legally made Suge secure.
Suge had 5 or 6 pending cases, which David Kenner was able to control and get rid of.
One of the benefits Suge Knight gave to people that joined Death Row was to say that I have a legal team, people who have a lot of experience in the criminal arena that can help you. Whereas in the past, coming from a black community, you go into a white justice system where all the cards are stacked against you. Here, for the first time in most of their lives, they were given a lawyer who was very capable and an investigator on top of it. And the results spoke for themselves most of the time. They got to see instances where they were acquitted and cases which normally they would have been convicted. In the rap industry, the problems happen at 1 or 2 in the morning. So it's not a 9-to-5 job. David was the rare lawyer who would be available to clients at that hour.
Of the $70 or $80 million that Interscope paid them between 1995 and 1997, about $13 million of that went to the law offices of David Kenner or to David Kenner. Certainly, this company was his bread and butter for some time.
What's your name again?
David Kenner, K-E-N-N-E-R.
Interscope would have not been able to deal with the Death Row problems if it wasn't for Kenner. Kenner was the mediator. He would go to them and tell Jimmy how much money he needs to fix the situation and let him handle it his way.
I was quite surprised because you would expect a music business attorney, but he wasn't. He was a criminal attorney.
He had entertainment attorney qualities. You know, he's flamboyant and he's sharp and he's kind of mafia-ish, his whole persona.
After a while, David might have got so caught up in his lifestyle that he might have become somewhat confused, because the thing is David really was supposed to be working on getting Mike out.
David was handling Michael's appeal. David was involved very much in Lydia's life, was friends with Lydia. This was a person who was very trustworthy to him.
The business became more dominant and the legal situation got put on the back burner.
When I thought, man, Mike is making a ton of money. And then you see Dave Kenner there, so you say if Dave is there, then Mike is there. And then the stories start flashing. And then you know that there's a war going on.
It was rumors that, Suge was over there trying to get a deal at Interscope, but when he would go down and visit Mike, him and Kenner would say it wasn't true, but Mike say, hey, what's this in the newspaper? And Suge would say, oh, you know how the newspaper print up articles. So Mike said, well, they're not going to just print up anything. So he started asking David, what's going on? Then David came and said, Suge did this behind my back.
And that started to cause Michael concern about what exactly was going on. He started to get word that Suge was telling people, oh, Michael Harris is nobody, he's not my partner. And the word on the street was, Michael Harris is really pissed off with Suge, it's on.
He wanted to get all the credit, which Mike don't trip the credit. The world thinks that Suge did this on his own.
Once Suge got a taste of the spotlight, he wanted it, and he wanted it by himself. If Suge didn't want to be my partner, I didn't have a problem with that. But at least compensate me for my time and the money that I invested.
Mike's in jail, but he's got a wife, he's got a kid. He's got family out here. He's got people he's taking care of. So, his reaction is he's stunned. Then he's kind of mad about it. How you gonna punk me?
The phone was never blocked because we always had cats calling from the pen. Harry O wasn't the only one. But after a while, I even remember, and I think it was because of Harry, that they then blocked the phone where it couldn't take no more calls.
David Kenner started off to play these guys against each other. Once the rift between Suge and Mike happened, Dave Kenner had to pledge allegiance one way or the other.
Throughout this time, even if Suge was denying his partnership with Michael, denying that Michael had any role in the company, David would be going up to visit Michael and saying, oh no, everything's okay, there's no problem, everything's fine, we're gonna get this taken care of.
It reminds me of the Brutus and Caesar.
At some point, Michael gets a hold of the incorporation paperwork of Death Row Records, realizes that Suge and David Kenner had set up a different company of Death Row Records that was independent of this GF Entertainment Michael had a hand in. And I think Michael began to suspect that things were not so kosher with their partnership.
They had both crossed me, the person that brought them together.
He the one told Dave, hey, look at this, man, that guy Suge. I like him. Go talk to him. Okay, a record comes, okay, I give you this amount of money. You tell him to do this. Okay, then him and Suge talking. Suge going to visit him. Suge, check this out. Put it down like this, man. Put it down like that. You do, David, you do this part. Keep him out of jail. You make sure you keep him out of jail. That's how Suge got all them probation and stuff. Dave fighting like he crazy. Keep him out of jail because Mike telling him to. Keep him out of jail. But guess what? Soon the money come in. Who? Harry-O. They turned to Scooby-Doo on it. Who's that? You know?
Mike said, well, where's the money at? And they said, you know, it's going to be 60 to 90 days, you know, before we see a royalty check. So those 60 and 90 days turned into a year.
I would send my representative to the office at Interscope to make arrangements to collect.
I went over and met with David Korn. He said, well, you know, what if we don't pay you? And I told him, I'm not threatening you, but I'm going to go on national TV and tell what really happened.
Everybody knew Harry O wasn't no joke, okay? And everybody knew Harry O had chips. And all you gotta do is be no joke and have chips, and you can get somebody handled.
That's when Michael typed up a letter.
Michael put his concerns on paper in the form of a lawsuit that could have been filed, that was never filed, laying out his grievances as to how he had been a founding partner in Death Row Records and had been denied his fair share of the proceeds. That lawsuit was shown to Interscope, and Interscope paid a fairly generous settlement to make it go away before it ever got filed.
The last meeting I think I had face-to-face with Kenner was when I was going to sue Interscope. He felt that I was right in what I was doing, but the time was wrong.
That next day, I got a call. They told me that Mike was in like a wheelchair. His mouth was twisted. I mean, he couldn't even walk. He couldn't even use his hands. He couldn't do nothing. I said, what happened? And that's when the doctor said he had Guillain-Barré. And I asked Mike, I said, well, did, you know, Kenner give you anything?
David is as smooth as you want to be and as vicious